In Search of Your Soul in India, The Ancient Journey to Find Yourself by David Russo. In India, it is often said that the most spiritually awakened soul may not announce itself at all. You might pass such a person on a crowded street, seated quietly by a temple step, or walking barefoot along a dusty road without a second glance. There are no outward signs of enlightenment, no visible mark of inner depth written on appearance alone. And yet, within that ordinary frame, there may exist a lifetime of discipline, silence, devotion, and understanding far beyond what is immediately visible, reminding us that true spiritual richness is rarely something that eyes can recognize, but something that must be felt in presence and awareness. Introduction. Why millions come to India searching for something they can't explain. Every year, millions of travelers arrive in India carrying more than luggage. They come with questions that have lingered for years, questions about happiness, purpose, identity, and the meaning of life itself. Some are burned out by demanding careers. Others are searching for healing after personal loss. Many simply feel that something is missing, even if they cannot explain exactly what it is. Drawn by stories of ancient wisdom, sacred rivers, and quiet monasteries, they begin a journey unlike any other. India has fascinated seekers for thousands of years, long before modern psychology, neuroscience, or philosophy became academic disciplines. People here were asking profound questions about consciousness and existence. Who are we beneath our thoughts and emotions? What remains when everything material fades away? Across this vast land, generations of sages, monks, scholars, and ordinary people dedicated their lives to exploring these mysteries, creating traditions that continue to inspire millions today. Unlike many destinations known for their landmarks, India's greatest treasures cannot always be photographed. They are found in early morning prayers echoing through ancient temples, in silent meditation beneath towering mountains, in conversations with wandering monks, and in the quiet moments that invite travelers to look inward. The country's spiritual heritage is woven into daily life, where the sacred and the ordinary often exist side by side. This documentary is not about proving one religion right or presenting mystical legends as unquestioned fact. Instead, it is an exploration of history, philosophy, culture, and the remarkable places where humanity's search for meaning has unfolded over thousands of years. Along the way, we will visit holy cities, sacred rivers, peaceful monasteries, and breathtaking Himalayan landscapes, while discovering the ideas that have shaped some of the world's oldest living spiritual traditions. Whether you are deeply religious, spiritually curious, or simply fascinated by history and human nature, India's story offers something universal. It reminds us that the search for meaning is one of humanity's oldest journeys, and perhaps the most important one any person can undertake. Our journey begins where countless others have started before us, in the land where some of the world's oldest spiritual traditions first took root. Chapter 1. The land where spirituality was born. Long before the rise of many of the world's great civilizations, the Indian subcontinent was already home to thriving communities that looked beyond survival and prosperity toward questions of existence. Along the fertile valleys of ancient rivers, early societies developed complex cultures whose influence would extend across across centuries. While kingdoms rose and fell, one remarkable tradition endured: the belief that understanding the human mind was just as important as understanding the physical world. Over time, these ideas evolved into philosophical traditions preserved through sacred texts, oral teachings, and generations of dedicated teachers. Rather than focusing solely on wealth or military conquest, many thinkers sought to understand consciousness itself. They asked questions that remain relevant today. What creates suffering? Can lasting happiness be found? Is there a deeper reality beyond what we experience through our senses? These inquiries became the foundation of India's enduring spiritual legacy. The landscapes of India played an important role in shaping this search. Towering mountains inspired solitude and contemplation. Dense forests became natural retreats for meditation. Mighty rivers sustained civilizations while symbolizing renewal in the continuous flow of life. Across these varied environments, communities established places where learning, reflection, and spiritual practice flourished. Geography became more than scenery. It became part of the journey towards self-discovery. Unlike many ancient cultures whose spiritual traditions disappeared with time, India's philosophical heritage adapted and continued to grow. New ideas emerged through discussion, debate, and personal experience rather than replacing older traditions entirely. This rich exchange gave rise to diverse schools of thought, each offering different perspectives on life's greatest questions while sharing a common desire to understand the nature of existence. Today, visitors walking through India's temples, monasteries, villages, and sacred landscapes are stepping into a living tradition that stretches back thousands of years. The chants heard at sunrise, the pilgrims walking ancient paths, and the quiet moments of reflection all echo a civilization that has long believed the greatest journey is not across continents, but within the human heart. As we continue our exploration, we turn to the question that has inspired countless seekers throughout history. What is the soul? Chapter 2. What is the soul? For thousands of years, people across India have asked a question that lies at the heart of human existence. What are we beyond our bodies and our thoughts? The answers vary across traditions, yet each begins with the belief that human life is more than a physical experience. Rather than seeing consciousness as a byproduct of the brain alone, many Indian philosophies describe it as the deepest reality from which our experiences arise. This question has shaped countless generations of seekers and remains just as compelling today. In Hindu philosophy, the soul is often described as the Atman, the eternal self that exists beyond birth, death, personality, and memory. According to many Hindu schools of thought, this inner self is not separate from the ultimate reality known as Brahman. The famous Upanishadic teaching, Tat Tvam Asi, meaning thou art that, suggests that the essence of every individual is connected to the infinite. Realizing this truth is considered the highest form of knowledge. Buddhism approaches the question differently. Rather than teaching an internal soul, the Buddha emphasized the concept of anatta, or non-self. He observed that everything we identify as me, our thoughts, emotions, bodies, and memories, is constantly changing. Clinging to these temporary experiences creates suffering. Freedom comes not by discovering a permanent self, but by understanding the impermanent nature of existence itself. Jainism presents another perspective, teaching that every living being possesses an internal soul called the jiva. These souls are believed to be naturally pure, but become burdened by karma accumulated through actions and intentions. Through discipline, compassion, and nonviolence, the soul gradually frees itself from these attachments until it reaches complete liberation. Sikhism, meanwhile, teaches that the human soul is a spark of the divine, and that remembering God through honest living, humility, and selfless service leads to spiritual fulfillment. Although these traditions differ in important ways, they all encourage profound self-examination. They ask us to look beyond appearances and question the assumptions we carry about identity. Whether one believes in an eternal soul, a changing stream of consciousness, or divine unity, the invitation is the same. Know yourself more deeply than you ever have before. Chapter 3. Walking the Sacred Rivers. Before sunrise, the banks of India's sacred rivers begin to awaken. Pilgrims descend ancient stone steps carrying flowers, candles, and small offerings. The air fills with the sound of temple bells, whispered prayers, and the gentle movement of water flowing toward the sea. For countless generations, these rivers have represented far more than natural landscapes. They are symbols of purification, renewal, and the continuous cycle of life. Among them, the Ganges holds a special place in India's spiritual imagination. Flowing from the Himalayas across northern India, it has long been regarded as sacred by millions of Hindus. Bathing in its waters is believed to symbolize spiritual cleansing. Not because the river magically erases wrongdoing, but because it represents a sincere desire to begin again. For many pilgrims, the journey itself is an act of devotion. Yet India's sacred geography extends beyond a single river. The Yamuna, associated with Lord Krishna, the Godavari in central India, the Narmada, flowing through ancient landscapes, and the Kaveri in the south all hold deep religious and cultural significance. Each river has inspired festivals, legends, poetry, and local traditions that have shaped communities for centuries. Together they form a living network connecting spirituality with the rhythms of nature. Standing beside these rivers, one notices that pilgrims come from every walk of life. Wealthy business owners stand beside farmers. Students pray alongside elderly couples who have traveled hundreds of miles. Language, social status, and background fade into the shared experience of faith and reflection. The flowing water becomes a reminder that every human life is part of something much larger than itself. For visitors, these sacred rivers offer more than beautiful scenery. They reveal how deeply nature and spirituality are intertwined in Indian culture. Watching thousands gather at dawn, it becomes clear that the rivers are not simply destinations on a map. They are places where generations have sought forgiveness, expressed gratitude, and reflected on the mystery of existence. Chapter 4. The Cities of Awakening. Across India stand cities whose identities have been shaped not by commerce or conquest, but by centuries of spiritual devotion. Their streets echo with chants, their temples preserve ancient traditions, and their people continue rituals practiced for generations. These are places where history and faith remain inseparable, attracting seekers from around the world. Varanasi is often considered one of the world's oldest continuously inhabited cities. Situated along the banks of the Ganges, it has long been regarded as one of Hinduism's holiest destinations. Every day begins with sunrise prayers and ends with the spectacular Ganga Aarti ceremony, where lamps illuminate the river as priests perform rituals that have captivated pilgrims for centuries. For many, Varanasi represents both the fragility and the sacredness of life. Farther north lies Rishikesh, nestled in the foothills of the Himalayas, known as the yoga capital of the world. It has become a meeting place for meditation practitioners, yoga students, and spiritual teachers from every continent. Ashrams line the river banks, offering visitors an opportunity to step away from the distractions of modern life and experience disciplines rooted in ancient traditions. Bodh Gaya occupies a unique place in world history as the location where Siddhartha Gautama is believed to have attained enlightenment beneath the Bodhi tree. Pilgrims from Buddhist traditions across Asia gather here in quiet reflection, demonstrating how one moment of profound insight transformed millions of lives. And Punjab, the golden temple of Amritsar, welcomes people of every background, serving free meals daily as a powerful expression of equality and compassion. Each of these cities offer a different path toward understanding, yet all share a common message. They remind visitors that awakening is not tied to a single place or tradition. Instead, these sacred centers encourage humility, curiosity, and the willingness to see the world and ourselves with fresh eyes. In the next chapter, we will meet the remarkable teachers who have devoted their lives to guiding others along the journey. Chapter 5, The Wisdom of the Gurus. Throughout India's long spiritual history, knowledge has rarely been confined to books alone. Instead, wisdom has often been passed from teacher to student through conversation, observation, and years of shared practice. These teachers, known as gurus in many traditions, are not simply instructors. At their best, they serve as guides, helping students explore the mind, overcome personal limitations, and develop compassion. While some become well-known figures, countless others live quietly in villages, monasteries, and ashrams, influencing only a handful of people during their lifetimes. The word guru literally means one who dispels darkness. Traditionally, this darkness refers not to evil, but to ignorance, the misunderstanding of who we truly are. A genuine teacher does not claim to possess magical powers or promise instant enlightenment. Instead, they encourage discipline, patience, humility, and honest self-examination. Through stories, meditation, and thoughtful dialogue, they challenge students to question long-held assumptions about themselves and the world. Across India, seekers often travel great distances to meet respected monks, yogis, scholars, and spiritual leaders. Some live in peaceful monasteries surrounded by forests, while others reside in bustling cities where they teach thousands of visitors each year. Their methods vary widely. One teacher may emphasize silent meditation, another devotional singing, and another the careful study of ancient philosophical texts. Yet beneath these differences lies a common goal: reducing suffering and cultivating wisdom. History also reminds us that discernment is essential. While India has produced extraordinary spiritual teachers, it has also seen individuals who misuse religious authority for personal gain. Ancient scriptures themselves caution students not to follow blindly, but to observe a teacher's character, humility, and actions. Authentic spiritual guidance encourages independence of thought rather than unquestioning obedience, inviting students to verify teaching through their own experience. For many travelers, conversations with sincere teachers become some of the most memorable moments of their journey. A simple exchange over tea, a quiet walk through a ashram garden, or a few thoughtful words offered at the right moment can leave a lasting impression. These encounters suggest that wisdom is not measured by fame or titles, but by the ability to inspire others to live with greater awareness, kindness, and purpose. Chapter 6. Silence in the Himalayas. Rising above the plains of northern India, the Himalayas have inspired awe for thousands of years. Their snow-covered peaks dominate the horizon, while deep valleys and ancient forests create an atmosphere unlike anywhere else on Earth. To many spiritual seekers, these mountains represent more than a geographical wonder. They symbolize stillness, endurance, and the possibility of seeing life from a higher perspective. For centuries, monks, hermits, and yogis have retreated into these mountains seeking solitude. Far from crowded cities and everyday distractions, they dedicate themselves to meditation, prayer, and contemplation. Living with few possessions, they embrace simplicity as a way of directing attention inward. While such a lifestyle may seem extreme to outsiders, many believe that reducing external noise allows the mind to become clearer and more peaceful. Silence plays a central role in this tradition. In modern life, our attention is constantly pulled in different directions by conversations, notifications, and endless streams of information. The Himalayas offer a striking contrast. Here, silence is not empty. It is filled with the sounds of wind through pine trees, distant rivers, and the quiet rhythm of one's own breathing. Many visitors discover that true silence can reveal thoughts and emotions long hidden beneath the distractions of daily life. Not everyone who comes to the Himalayas is searching for enlightenment. Some arrive simply to rest, hike, or experience the breathtaking scenery. Yet, even casual visitors often describe feeling a sense of calm that is difficult to explain. Whether shaped by the landscape itself, the slower pace of life, or the influence of centuries of spiritual practice, the mountains encourage reflection in ways few places can. The Himalayas remind us that growth often requires moments of withdrawal as well as action. Just as nature moves through seasons of activity and rest, human beings also benefit from periods of quiet reflection. Leaving the mountains, many travelers carry home no souvenirs beyond photographs. Yet, they often return with something far more valuable, a renewed clarity about what truly matters. Chapter 7. Yoga Beyond the Body. Today, yoga is practiced by hundreds of millions of people around the world. In many places, it is associated with stretching, flexibility, and physical fitness. While these benefits are real, they represent only one small part of a much older tradition. The original purpose of yoga was never simply to strengthen the body. It was to quiet the mind and cultivate a deeper understanding of human consciousness. The Sanskrit word yoga means to unite or to join. Ancient practitioners described yoga as a path toward harmony between body, mind, and awareness. Physical postures known as asanas were developed to prepare the body for long periods of comfortable meditation, breath control, ethical living, concentration, and self-discipline were considered equally important aspects of the practice, each supporting the ultimate goal of inner transformation. One of the most influential texts of yoga is the Yoga Sutras, traditionally attributed to the sage Patanjali. Rather than focusing on exercise, these teachings describe yoga as the calming of the fluctuations of the mind. According to this philosophy, much of human suffering arises because the mind is constantly distracted by fear, desire, and attachment. Through consistent practice, individuals gradually learn to observe these patterns without becoming controlled by them. Modern scientific research has explored many of yoga's physical and psychological benefits, including improvements in flexibility, balance, stress management, and emotional well-being. Yet, experienced practitioners often emphasize that these outcomes are secondary. The deeper purpose of yoga is developing awareness, learning to respond thoughtfully instead of reacting automatically, and discovering a steadiness that remains even when circumstances become difficult. Whether practiced in a quiet Himalayan ashram or a neighborhood community center, yoga continues to invite people toward the same timeless question: who are we when the constant chatter of the mind begins to settle? For millions across the world, the answer is not found in mastering complicated poses, but in discovering a greater sense of presence, balance, and peace that extends far beyond the yoga mat. Chapter 8, The Science of Meditation. For thousands of years, meditation has been one of India's most enduring spiritual practices. Ancient sages believed that the restless mind was the source of much human suffering, and that learning to observe one's thoughts without becoming trapped by them could lead to profound inner peace. What was once considered purely a spiritual discipline has, in recent decades, become the subject of scientific research around the world. Meditation takes many forms. Some practitioners focus on the breath, while others silently repeat sacred sounds known as mantras. Certain traditions encourage mindfulness of each passing thought, while others cultivate compassion through loving kindness meditation. Although these methods differ, they all share a common purpose: training attention and developing greater awareness of the present moment. Modern neuroscience has found that regular meditation can influence areas of the brain involved in attention, emotional regulation, and stress response. Researchers have observed that consistent practice may improve concentration, reduce anxiety, and strengthen resilience during difficult situations. While meditation is not a cure-all, these findings suggest that many of the benefits described by ancient practitioners have measurable effects that science is only beginning to understand. Yet experienced meditators often point out that the deepest rewards cannot be measured in brain scans or laboratory studies alone. Meditation gradually changes how people relate to their own thoughts. Instead of fighting emotions or becoming overwhelmed by them, practitioners learn to observe their inner experience with patience and clarity. This shift in perspective can transform everyday life, allowing challenges to be met with greater calm and wisdom. The meeting of ancient tradition and modern science reveals something remarkable. Across thousands of years in vastly different cultures, people have discovered that the human mind is trainable. Whether one meditates for spiritual growth, mental well-being, or simple curiosity, the practice offers an opportunity to become more present, more compassionate, and more deeply connected to the experience of being alive. Chapter 9. What travelers really find. Every traveler arrives to India with a different story. Some come searching for spiritual enlightenment, while others simply seek adventure or cultural discovery. Yet many leave with something they'd never expected. Rather than finding all the answers, they discover better questions about themselves, their relationships, and their lives they wish to lead. Some visitors describe transformative moments in unexpected places: a sunrise along the Ganges, a conversation with a monk over a simple meal, a silent walk through the Himalayas, a volunteer experience in a village. These moments rarely resemble dramatic scenes from movies. Instead, they are often quiet experiences that gradually reshape a person's understanding of happiness, gratitude, and purpose. Not every journey is easy. India can overwhelm the senses with crowded streets, constant movement, unfamiliar customs, and striking contrasts between wealth and poverty. Many travelers experience moments of discomfort or frustration, yet it is often through these challenges that they begin to question assumptions they had carried for years. Growth, they discover, rarely happens inside a comfort zone. The greatest transformation often has little to do with religion. Instead, people return home with a renewed appreciation for simplicity, mindfulness, compassion, and the importance of living intentionally. Some adopt meditation as a daily habit. Others become more grateful for ordinary moments with family and friends. Many realize that fulfillment comes less from acquiring more and more from paying closer attention to the life already unfolding around them. In the end, India's greatest gift may not be a mystical revelation, but a change in perspective. The country acts like a mirror, reflecting both the beauty and the complexity within each visitor. Those willing to look honestly often discover that the journey they believed was leading outward was quietly leading inward all along. Chapter 10. Bringing the journey home. Eventually, every pilgrimage reaches its final destination. Flights depart, suitcases are packed, and travelers return to familiar routines. Yet the true journey does not end at the airport. The greatest challenge begins after coming home, carrying the lessons of the road into everyday life. India teaches that wisdom is not reserved for mountaintops or ancient temples. It can be practiced in ordinary moments, through kindness toward strangers, patience during difficulties, gratitude for simple blessings, and mindful attention to the present. The sacred is not confined to a particular place. It can be discovered wherever people choose to live with awareness and compassion. Many spiritual traditions emphasize that lasting transformation comes through consistent practice rather than extraordinary experiences. A few minutes of daily meditation, honest self-reflection, meaningful relationships, and acts of generosity often shape a person's character more deeply than a single dramatic moment of inspiration. The journey continues through small actions and choices made each day. Perhaps that is why India's spiritual heritage continues to resonate across generations. Its teachings are not invitations to escape the world, but to engage with it more consciously. They encourage us to become more thoughtful, more compassionate, and more aware of the shared humanity connecting every person, regardless of culture or belief. As our journey continues to an end, one truth becomes increasingly clear. The search for the soul was never about traveling to a distant land. India simply provides a remarkable setting in which that search has been explored for thousands of years. The real destination has always been within ourselves, a place that no map can reveal, but one that every human being has the capacity to discover. Conclusion: the soul was never lost. Throughout this journey, we have crossed sacred rivers, climbed Himalayan trails, visited ancient cities, and explored ideas that have shaped civilizations for thousands of years. Along the way, one message has appeared again and again: The search for meaning is universal. Every culture asks its own questions, but few places have preserved such a continuous tradition of inner exploration as India. The country's temples, monasteries, forests, and villages remind us that wisdom is rarely found in noise or haste. It grows through curiosity, humility, compassion, and the willingness to examine our own lives with honesty. Whether expressed through yoga, meditation, prayer, or acts of selfless service, these traditions invite us to become more awake to the present moment. India does not offer a single answer to life's greatest mystery. Instead, it encourages each person to explore, reflect, and discover their own understanding. The journey is deeply personal, yet it connects us to generations of seekers who have asked the same timeless questions across thousands of years. Perhaps the soul was never something hidden in a distant temple or beyond the peaks of the Himalayas. Perhaps it has always been present beneath the distractions, fears, and expectations of everyday life. The wisdom of India suggests that when the mind grows quiet enough, what we have been searching for is already there. Thank you for joining us on this extraordinary journey. If this story inspired you, consider sharing your thoughts in the comments and subscribe for more documentaries exploring history, culture, and the ideas that continue to shape our world. Until next time, keep asking questions, keep exploring, and never stop searching for the deeper story behind the world around you.